Hello everyone, this is Recap Bella here, and today we'll be talking about a Japanese comedy fantasy film called Symbol. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. The story begins with a Japanese man wearing colorful polka dot pajamas. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself trapped inside a bright white room. No doors, no windows, not even a ceiling. Slowly, he walks toward one of the walls and notices a strange little button. Curious and confused, he touches it and presses it. Suddenly, hundreds of tiny laughing angels fly out from the walls and floor. They float around for a few seconds, and then vanish back into the walls, leaving behind a bunch of weird buttons in their place. Turns out, this was some kind of learning stage, a mysterious place where heaven had sent him, for a reason. He sniffs the finger that pressed the first button, and then suddenly screams in panic, realizing he's now surrounded by thousands of buttons everywhere. But instead of giving up, he decides to experiment with them. He presses another button, and a toothbrush appears. Bit by bit, he figures out that every button triggers a completely different object. Sometimes a flower vase falls out, sometimes a megaphone pops up, and pressing the same button again brings back the same thing. After a while, he's surrounded by a pile of chopsticks. He looks up and prays, "God, if I did something wrong, I'm sorry. Please, just let me go home." But still, no answer. Then, he presses another button. A small trolley rolls across the floor and bumps into his foot. He groans in pain, presses a new button, and this time, a huge baby butt pops out of the wall and farts right in his face. Hours pass. The room is now filled with the strangest things imaginable. Exhausted, he throws a ball against the wall and accidentally hits another button. Suddenly, a plate of sushi drops from above. Excited, he rushes over. It's real, traditional Japanese sushi. Starving, he's overjoyed, until he realizes there's no soy sauce. He presses a button again. Sushi. Another one. Still sushi. No matter how many times he tries, only sushi. Finally, he gives up and eats the dry sushi anyway, enjoying every bite. But just as he finishes the last piece, he presses one more button, and this time, a bottle of soy sauce falls from above. Furious, he shouts, "Oh, now you show up! You're too late," and throws the bottle away. Then, he hits another button and gets a pair of 3D glasses. When he puts them on, he sees a little baby angel pointing at a special button on the wall. Excited, he believes it's the way out. He rushes and presses it, but suddenly, the entire room goes dark. A countdown starts echoing. He panics. The buttons begin to disappear one by one, and from above, the same giant baby butt starts descending toward him. He thinks, "This is it, I'm done for." But as the countdown ends, the massive butt stops mid-air, and then releases a loud fart right in his face. The next day, we see the man again. This time, he's already finished reading 5 comic books. He's having a great time, totally hooked, and now he's excited to read the 6th part. He presses a button, but instead of the 6th volume, he gets the 7th one. Confused, he presses again and gets the 8th, then the 9th, but the 6th part is still missing. Then suddenly, after pressing another random button, a hidden panel on the wall slides open, revealing a secret doorway. Overjoyed, he jumps up in excitement, but in that excitement, he forgets which button opened it. He starts guessing, presses one, and suddenly an African tribesman appears out of nowhere. Running wildly from one wall to another, panicking, the man hits another button. This time, water starts pouring from above, right onto his head. Frustrated, he presses again, and finally, the door reappears. He rushes toward it, but it shuts just before he reaches it. He tries again, but the same thing happens every time. Now he realizes the door only stays open while the button is being pressed, so he begins experimenting, pressing it with his foot and running, pulling it with a rope, even using a fan to blow air at it from a distance, but nothing works. Then he gets an idea. He sits on the little trolley and tries to slide across the room, but it rolls the wrong way. That's when it hits him. He needs something heavy to hold the button down. He grabs a flower vase and places it on top of the button, but the button still pops back up. Then he thinks, what if I fill the vase with water? That'll make it heavier. He presses the water button again, but the water just pours directly on his head. He moves the vase around, but no matter where he stands, the water only falls on him. After endless tries, he barely manages to collect enough water to feed a single plant. Then, another idea strikes him. He starts filling the vase with sushi instead. Slowly, it becomes so heavy that he can't even lift it anymore. He tries taking some sushi out, but the vase's mouth is too narrow, so he starts using chopsticks, pulling out one sushi piece at a time, for hours. Finally, he manages to remove enough to lift the vase again. He drags it toward the button, but just as he's about to set it down, he realizes he's forgotten which button opens the door again. Panicking, he hits one, and the same African tribesman pops out again, crashing straight into the vase. It shatters into 2 pieces. The man screams in frustration, completely losing it, but at last, he manages to find the right button again. He tries covering it with sushi, but it pops right back up. Then he tapes it down, but that doesn't work either. The door slams shut again, and this time, he even gets hurt. A few moments later, we see him lying there, half asleep, half in pain, after taking a bunch of painkillers. When he wakes up, he remembers his daily routine routine, time to brush his teeth, he presses the water button, but it's the wrong one. This time, a long rope drops down from above, and suddenly, he gets a brilliant idea. If I swing on this rope, I might be able to reach that door in time. He grabs the rope, presses the button, and swings with all his strength. And finally, he makes it to the door just in time. But when he steps inside, he finds another door, and this one is locked. He somehow gets back before the first door shuts, but it hits him in the waist. Angry, he kicks a random button, and suddenly, a key appears in midair. He instantly knows. This key must unlock that second door. But just like the door, the key also disappears after a few seconds. So now he has to do both. Keep the door open and grab the key. But first, he needs to find the right button again, because of course, he forgot it. He presses one, and a barking white dog pops out of the wall. He jumps back, scared, presses another. Same thing, but finally, he finds the right one. He marks it with a sushi piece so he won't forget. But when he presses it, the same white dog comes out again. Frustrated, he builds a new plan. He uses the hanging rope to swing while pressing the buttons. But again, he fails, falls hard to the ground. That's when he spots the plunger, the same one he got from an earlier button. And suddenly, a brilliant idea hits him. If I use the plunger to stick to the wall, I can press the buttons from up there. It takes a few tries, but finally, it works. He swings across the rope, sticks to the wall with the plunger, presses the right button, then pushes himself off, and catches the floating key in midair. He quickly uses his foot to hold down the door button, slides through, and unlocks the door just in time. He smiles, relieved, thinking, finally, I'm free. But the door still won't open. Turns out there's another lock. This one needs a 3-digit passcode. He panics, rushes back inside, and once again, the door slams on his back. Furious, he throws the plunger at the wall and accidentally presses a button. Out comes the same African tribesman again, but this time, the man notices something. The numbers 7, 9, and 4 on the guy's forehead. He realizes, that's the code. He rushes through the chaos, dodging everything, pressing the right buttons, memorizing each number. Finally, he enters the code, and the lock opens. He sighs in relief, but the door still won't move. Then he realizes it opens inward, and there's barely 3 feet of space left. He's trapped, wedged between the wall and the door. As he struggles, flashes of all his strange encounters fill his mind. The buttons, the random objects, the moments of frustration and laughter. And in that tiny space, he finally understands that maybe, just maybe, even in confinement, he was never truly alone. Suddenly, he feels a soft breeze brushing against his face, coming from the wall beside him. Confused, he touches it and notices a tiny crack. That's when it hits him. The wall is fake. Without wasting a second, he pushes it open and steps into a mysterious hallway. A hallway filled with countless doors, floating in midair, like an endless path that might never end. He keeps running and running until finally, the hallway ends. He steps into another room, but something strange happens. His hair starts growing longer, and the bright polka dots on his clothes begin to fade. As he stands there in shock, he begins to hear whispers, soft, divine voices of angels. And this time, they weren't the tiny ones he'd seen before. These were giant angels filling the entire room. They stay for a while, then suddenly vanish into the walls, leaving behind hundreds of glowing buttons. The door behind him shuts. This was the second stage, the practice stage. He looks up and realizes there's no ceiling anymore. Angels are flying above him and all around. Each button seemed to control something happening in the world below. He doesn't press the buttons anymore. Instead, he starts climbing on them, using each one like a step on an invisible ladder to the heavens. With every button he touches, something changes on Earth. Flowers bloom in deserts, penguins trip and fall, an elephant dies somewhere far away. Every act of creation, every random miracle was now reacting to his touch. The higher he climbs, the stronger his influence becomes, now affecting not just nature, but machines, humanity, even destiny itself. A toaster turns on by itself. A man slips on the moon. The line between chaos and divinity begins to blur. And finally, he reaches the very top. His hair and beard have grown long and wild, his eyes glowing with divine calm. Now, he doesn't even need to press the buttons. They respond to his thoughts. He floats effortlessly in midair, like an angel himself. Here, in this sacred height, he remembers everything. His struggles in the first room, his confusion, his endless experiments, and he finally accepts his role, the role of God. He now understands creation isn't done by hand, but by thought, by intention. Slowly, he begins choosing the greatest hits of humanity, the moments worth keeping, the ones worth letting go. As he works, the walls around him dissolve, replaced by radiant wings of pure light. A brilliant energy portal opens before him. He drifts into it, peaceful, enlightened. Now, he finds himself in the final chamber, the room of the future. On one massive wall, he sees a glowing map of the entire world. Every voice, every heartbeat of humanity, he can hear them all. And in front of him stands a single, enormous button. He slowly walks toward it, his hand trembling, ready to decide the fate of everything. And just as he's about to press it, the screen fades to black. The movie ends, leaving behind one final question. Was he ever trapped? Or was he always meant to be here? If this story made you think twice about reality, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends who love mind-bending stories like this one.